It's Fan Fiction Friday. Let's see what Mariners trades you cooked up. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Friday, December 26, 2025. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Cijntje Gonzalez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We're two lifelong Mariners fans who've been covering the team for over half a decade. And today, it's Fan Fiction Friday, the show where you submit your Mariners trade ideas, and we grade them on the 20/80 scale based on creativity, uniqueness, and if they make sense for both clubs. Before we get into this week's batch, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Kicking us off here on Fan Fiction Friday is Benjamin, who has a deal with the Chicago White Sox. Mariners get Miguel Vargas, Ky Bush, and Jordan Leasure for Felnin, Celestin, and Michael Morales. Jordan Leasure is nice. He's the prize of this deal. He's coming off of a half-win season. He struck out like 11 guys per nine. You look at his Savant page, there's a lot of red. I mean, Leasure alone probably costs you Felnin, Celestin plus right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not sure I'm doing that though. But like, yeah.
But like, so like Vargas and Ky Bush on top of that probably cost you even more, probably more than just Michael Morales. So I don't think that the comp is all that accurate with this. And Vargas, to me, like, he shouldn't be the answer for this third base DH role that the Mariners are looking to fill right now. Because, like, yeah, he hit a little bit last year, but like, he was a 1-1 player, 234, 316, 401. You know, and while that was in 569 plate appearances, we also have like 600 plate appearances. Let's say that he's terrible, that he is almost unplayable as a hitter, and he can't even really play third base. Like, he was -7 outs above average there last year.
Yeah.
So like, I know that he played some third and he played, first base and he DH'd a little bit, but there really isn't that much versatility there. So I just don't really like Vargas, even though that I've thought that, he's a guy that, the Mariners could possibly acquire in years past. He just kind of feels like a Mariner guy a little bit. It's just, he's out of options, so he has to be on the roster. Therefore, he's probably going to be the answer there to that role that the Mariners are looking to fill. And that's not good enough to me. So I like the Leasure aspect of this. I don't think for everything else that's getting at it. And by the way, Ky Bush, to me, because he's coming off the elbow injury, he's just like nothing to me in this deal.
Yeah.
But because
Michael Morales in this deal.
Yeah, but because like Leasure, I think alone would cost Felnin, Celestin, and maybe Michael Morales. Like, that might be the package to get Leasure on his own. Like, I don't think this is enough to get also Vargas and Bush on top of him. And I don't really want either of those guys on top of him, frankly. Like, if this deal was just Celestin and Morales for Leasure, I'd probably give you like a 50-55.
Yeah, to me, like, I like Leasure. I liked him last year. I still like him this year. But when I look at where the bullpen is right now, and I look at the, small track record, Leasure wasn't good in 2024. There was just some promising signs. And then this year, they kind of popped for him. But he's still pretty unproven. But then again, kind of Ferrer is too. But Ferrer was better than even Leasure last year. So it might cost Felnin. But, like, for me, I think I just look elsewhere. If that's the cost, it's like, okay, well, let me see what else I can get, because I think I can get somebody close to him for less. So I think there it kind of, I'm out on it, even if that's what it costs. Like, I'm not saying it shouldn't cost that or it doesn't cost that. It's just like, if that is what it costs, I'll look elsewhere. And then maybe I end up circling back, but I'll look elsewhere. And then, like you said, Vargas doesn't really get on base. It doesn't really play third base either. So I don't know. I just this feels like a bunch of spare parts to me. And I think I'd prefer more impact, even if I am just giving up Celestin. I think there's a potential you get nothing out of this deal. But But yeah, like as the roster sits right now, this feels like the last move you would make, and I don't think you're there. So
yeah,
it's just a little bit off on everything.
Yeah. Again, if this was Leasure alone, then that still leaves that, offensive role that I'm looking to fill open with someone better, hopefully. So I'd be fine with the steal. And again, I'd give you like a 50 to 55 because I think Celestin and Morales for Leasure alone would be at least close. But I'm going to give you I'll give you a 45. Next trade here from Adam. Mariners get Stephen Kwan. Guardians get Luke Raley, Jurrangelo, Cijntje, and Peete.
Yeah, been a minute since we talked about Stephen Kwan.
Yeah.
The rumors about him have really died over the last month. We haven't really heard him brought up by anybody. Yeah. Although we heard that they were very close to trading him at the deadline. And, at the beginning of the offseason, we heard that, he'll definitely be traded this winter. So, yeah, just hadn't talked about Kwan in a little bit, so thought we'd bring him back up now. The Mariners have said repeatedly they really like their outfield. They're fine with it. They don't feel like they need to make any upgrades there. I think they're wrong, but relative to what they need in the infield right now, the outfield's fine. So, yeah, it's an interesting trade idea. I think Stephen Kwan might be a little bit overrated because he's had 2 years where he's been an average hitter. Yeah. And 2 years where he's been above average. So it's not like you're getting a 135 WRC plus bat here. You're getting a guy who might be league average offensively. You're getting plus outfield defense, plus corner outfield defense. So it's not,
And I mean, the reason that he's graded out as a league average hitter is because he isn't slugging. Like, he's hitting for a high average. He's getting on base a nice amount. Right. It's just he doesn't slug.
He's a good player, but is he is he like an actual true all-star? I mean, he'll compile his way to all-star status, but I question how much impact there really is. Cleveland's had him for how many years, and they've never been an elite offense. All that being said, Raley, I like Raley. Kind of tough to figure out how to get him at bats a little bit right now, unless you want to roll with multiple platoons like we talked about last week. Peete, just a lottery ticket at this stage. And Cijntje is a guy who I like more than Ty, certainly, but is also a guy that, I would move for 2 years of an above average player. So I think from a Mariners perspective, you have to be interested in this, even with all the things I pointed out about Kwan. From a Cleveland perspective, they might do something like this. They get a major league impact now, in Luke Raley, but they also get the pitcher. And we know Cleveland loves getting pitchers in basically every trade they make. Do they like Cijntje? I don't know. I don't know if he's their type of guy or not. But yeah, overall, it's, you basically swap out Cijntje, or you swap out Kwan with, Donovan. And this is a trade package that we've talked about basically for Donovan. And I think that's fair. So I don't have any problems with this, really. Stephen Kwan, I think, is just a smidge overvalued, just because, there is the possibility that he is fringe league average offensively. And whereas a guy like Donovan, for example, he's pretty steadily 15 to 20% above league average. And so there is a little bit of a difference there, but overall, I don't,
even a more versatility.
Right. Like, Kwan is a better defender overall, but Donovan can play in the infield and the outfield. Kwan is outfield only. So, it's an interesting trade. Kwan's a fun player to watch, but there are some downsides to Kwan. He also doesn't steal a lot of bases, which you would think he would for kind of the slap hitter that he is. But he's a good player. So I wouldn't mind this package. If the Mariners made this deal, I'd be like, oh, nice. But I'd still probably rather have Donovan, honestly, even though Kwan's probably by WAR a better player.
My guess is the Guardians would need one more significant piece involved here to get out of bed for this one, because they're going to try and sell Kwan as like this 4.5 win player that he's been for a couple of years. Yeah. So I don't think just Cijntje alone, because who knows if Luke Raley is going to bounce back, and who knows what the hell Peete is. So it's really Cijntje doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. and you're kind of hoping that Raley is doing some heavy lifting as well, but you don't know. I don't think that's enough to get you Kwan. So I think there would have to be another like Korbyn, Dickerson, someone like that involved here in this deal.
I mean, like, what if you added Arroyo, but then Cleveland also gave you like Matt Vesta?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe that works.
Yeah.
The Guardians are weird too, right? Because like some of the trades that they take,
they'll take bulk sometimes.
Yeah. Some of the trades that they take just don't really make sense to me. So, yeah. So I don't know. It's a tough one to assess, but I think you're one piece short here. So I'll go 45.
You get the last one 45. It feels like maybe you should give that one 40 and this one 45.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Retroactively, we'll give the last one a 40.
Sure.
And this one 45.
I'll go 50. I think you're like in the right ballpark, but I do think that ultimately, I mean, again, it really depends on does Cleveland think that Cijntje is, more of a top 50 prospect? Do they think Luke Raley helps them in 2026? Probably does. And then it really comes to, like, if they think Peete, if they're buying into the tools of Peete, they might do this deal. If they're looking at the swing and miss and all that stuff with Peete, they're probably like, we need something else. And so, yeah. But I think you're in the right ballpark.
All right, we'll look at more of your trades in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Gametime. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pull up the app and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Prices include fees up front, which I love because there are no last second surprises at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, Gametime. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen for all things Mariners. And also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Mariners with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonmariners.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. It's Fanfiction Friday. Jeff has a deal here with Tampa. Says a typical Tampa trade for not the usual. Seattle offers Jonny Farmelo, Teddy McGraw, Michael Morales, and Rhylan Thomas to the Rays for Chandler, Simpson, and Ian Seymour.
So here's the deal with Chandler Simpson. He's really only good at one thing. He's very fast. Although not the fastest player in the game, according to StatCast, but very fast. He also, 97%. My hunch would be Bobby Witt right now, but I don't have sprint speeds. But basically Chandler Simpson, what he does is he makes a lot of contact. Like, he doesn't swing and miss. He doesn't strike out because he's literally just trying to put the ball in play and then sprint down to first base. Like, that is the whole game plan. And I don't love the one trick pony players because you're not even getting good defense with him. Keep that in mind either. You would think with his speed, you would be getting at least plus defense to go along with it. But no, he's not Billy Hamilton.
This is a great example of athleticism doesn't necessarily equate to good defense.
Mm-hmm. Now, he could get better out there. I'm not saying it's impossible. He certainly has the tools to do it. But like, even Billy Hamilton, who's kind of like Chandler Simpson's like comp, has to be like, he could go get it in center field.
Yeah.
Simpson doesn't. He had a -5 outs above average last year. Like, it's an average arm. He doesn't slug at all. He doesn't put up exit velos at all. He had no barrels last year in 415 plate appearances. Like, this isn't a small sample. This is almost an entire season. So what he does, he slaps the ball on the ground and he runs like heck. And he's safe enough that he puts up, a 295 average, which is nice. You figure with a 295 average, he'd probably have a much higher on base, but it's about league average, a little bit above league average. And that's because he's 4th percentile in walks. Like, Chandler Simpson is like a great bench player because he does one thing very well, but it's like, so did Tim LeCastro, so did Terrence Gore. It doesn't mean that you treat them like big trade targets. So you have to believe that there is more, not only offensively, to Simpson's game, but also defensively. And by the way, he stole 44 bags last year. That's great. He also got caught 12 times, which led the league. So, he's a very fast base runner. He's a very good base runner. You'll take that. That's not a bad percentage. It's just like there are some downsides here, and I don't think he's that good of a player overall. I think he's an overrated player because he's so fast. People want him to be, and he has 295 average. People want him to be really good. There's no slug. He doesn't put the ball. He doesn't do any damage. He's not that hard to pitch to, and he doesn't help you defensively really at all. Seymour is interesting. I like Seymour. Obviously, the big thing with Seymour is the changeup. It's a very good changeup. You get him for, I believe, 5 years.
He literally just debuted. So
yeah, it might be 6 actually. You might actually get him might have to super 2 him, but whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, he was a 1-1 reliever in his rookie year.
Yeah.
So that's going to cost quite a bit.
Yes. I'm not willing to pay Johnny Farmelo for it, though.
No.
Again, I will look elsewhere to find a maybe not as good, maybe less club control, but I'll look elsewhere to avoid paying that tax for a reliever. To me, like Chandler Simpson, he's not nothing in this trade, but I don't think he's a very good player overall.
No,
I think
Seymour is the prize of the steal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. You sometimes like to call Cijntje the sideshow or whatever. Because of his whole switch pitching thing.
Yeah.
Chandler Simpson is a sideshow in Major League Baseball. There's not much thump for what you're actually getting there, and I'm not giving up Farmelo for him. And I think honestly, you probably would have to get the Rays interested at this point, especially Ian Seymour, like you said, is the prize of this deal. You probably have to give up Farmelo to get this deal done, and I'm just not doing it. So
I'm not giving up a potential 5-tool player.
For a
Chandler Simpson
player. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be for Simpson specifically, but it would mostly be for, Seymour, I would assume here.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you, if you took Farmelo and Seymour out, would you even do this bulk package for Chandler Simpson?
So what is it again?
It would be Rhylan Thomas, Teddy McGraw, and Michael Morales for Chandler Simpson.
That's fine.
It's fine, but like, isn't there a non-zero chance Rhylan Thomas basically gives you the same value that Chandler Simpson does? It's a possibility.
He's also another one of those guys that just goes up there swinging, trying to put the ball in play.
Yeah, just flat, like he's not as fast, but then like Teddy McGraw has some upside here. Like I wouldn't be opposed to it, but like I'm not excited about it. I was like, that's a fine trade. So yeah, overall, I don't know that your valuation is that far off. I just wouldn't pay it. That's my only thing. And I don't think the Mariners would either, personally, but I don't think it's like a bad offer.
No, I think the offer is fine. It's just the Mariners wouldn't do this. So, 55.
Yeah, it's a couple names we haven't talked about. It's it's pretty good valuation, I think. So yeah, I think it's got to be like a 55. I just wouldn't do it. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
but I mean that's fine. Yeah, it's 55, I think.
Next trade here from Raise the Trade. Never heard of him. Mariners get Edwin Uceta from Tampa for Felnin, Celestin, and Teddy McGraw from this stranger.
Yes. He probably has like really bad live streams that he doesn't invite, his friends onto. But But
Probably makes no money for charity either.
Scrub.
Yeah.
Oh man, this wannabe. Raise the Trident. LOL. It's a pretty good name. But yeah. I like Uceta. I know the Rays like Felnin. I also know a little bit about what the Rays wanted for Uceta earlier this winter, and it was more than this. And I don't think I want to pay what they apparently were asking. Apparently they were, well, let me tell you this. Last winter, I heard they wanted Harry Ford and Felnin Celestin for Yandy Diaz, both of them. And the Mariners said no to that. I think it's something similar to get Uceta. And I just, obviously Harry Ford's not here, but Felnin and Arroyo or something like that.
Right.
And again, I like Uceta a lot. I like all these relievers that we talked about today. It's just like, I'll just go elsewhere. I think I can get somebody who's almost as good for a little bit less. And when you're talking about a reliever, yeah, I'm willing to shop a little bit on the discount aisle. Just because. So I think, like, if I were Tampa, I would strongly consider this. Absolutely. Will the real life Tampa Bay Rays? I don't know. I also heard earlier this winter that Tampa doesn't want to take a step back, and yet they just traded Shane Baz and they traded quite a bit of just quality major league talent to get a AAA player, Jacob Melton. So they're kind of taking steps, and they've said, oh yeah, we took a couple steps back to be better in 2027. So it's like, I don't know, things change. Teams can kind of read the market and decide, oh well, actually we should be selling a little bit. So I'll say this trade could happen, but based on what I've heard, I don't think Tampa takes this. I think they should.
Not enough.
I think
we're talking about a young reliever who's finally coming into his own, gets a ton of strikeouts. He's still under club control for 4 more years, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is probably going to be Arroyo and Celestin, Arroyo and Cijntje. It's going to be like top, 2 top 100 guys. Now back of the top 100 more so probably. But like it's probably going to be like 2 top 100 guys. So yeah, just not enough.
And I'm not paying that if I'm the Mariners. Like I said, I'll go see if I can get, what's his name, the guy from Colorado that you like, Mejia.
Yeah, Mejia. Yeah,
I think I might be able to get him for less than this. And if I have to go at the deadline and try to get a reliever to patch, the 6, 7, 8 spots in my bullpen, fine. I'm willing to take that shot in the bullpen more so than I am in the infield and in the outfield, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I know the Mariners like Uceta. I know the Rays like Felnin, but based on what I know or what I've heard, I would go ahead and say that, yeah, Ty's right. It's probably going to cost Arroyo too.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
Jake, you don't get a grade from me. You just get an L. L, Jake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what you deserve for that garbage Kahoot.
Ty needs to learn more about salmon.
Shout out to Casper Wells, though.
There you go. If you know, you know.
All right, we will look at more of your trades in just a moment, but first a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment as live spreads and money lines adjust instantly and player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone. And on there, we talk Mariners, we talk Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. Our next trade here on Fan Fiction Friday comes from Isaac. Mariners get Jeremiah Jackson and Trey Gibson from the Orioles for Luke Raley, Logan Evans, and Michael Morales.
Yeah, interesting trade because it involved your return is prominent. I'm prominently minor leaguers. Now, Jeremiah Jackson had a little bit of a cup of coffee at the end of the year, and he was very good. So, that's not to say you don't get anything here, but I actually think the most interesting piece of this trade is the arm. It's Trey Gibson. There's a really great article on Gibson that I found on Prospect Savant that talks about some of the changes that he's made this year, and just to kind of give you a brief breakdown, because I'm sure like you guys, I didn't know much about Gibson before I looked into this. 6'5", about 240 pounds. Gets downhill, but throws from that 27-degree arm angle that the Mariners seem to really love from their guys. It's a big pitch mix. He's 95 to 97 with both a four-seamer and a sinker. He throws really good kind of cutter slider hybrid type that he really trusts. He also has kind of a separate slider, maybe a sweeper, to differentiate the two. He throws a curveball, and then he throws something that they're calling a death ball. That is kind of change-uppy, I guess, but yeah,
I like that.
It's apparently modeled by Jordan Montgomery's signature out pitch. But yeah, he throws 6 pitches, lots of good data on them. He's a data guy too. Like, he really digs into the numbers, like we know the Mariners like. So you have the size, the extension, the low arm slot. The stuff is ticking up. It's trending in the right direction. He got hit around when he got, put up to AAA last year. So you kind of have to dig a little deeper than the numbers to really get an idea of who this guy is. But there's a lot to like there. And I could see why the Mariners would like him. They're very much, enamored with data driven starting pitchers. And this guy apparently is. So you might be buying a little low on him, but that also, Baltimore is not stupid. They know, like, hey, we see the same things you guys see, and Baltimore is going to need starting pitching sooner rather than later. So I don't know how available this guy is.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought here was. Like, I mean, if there's this guy with all this exciting underlying data, and the Orioles are a team that hasn't really invested much into their rotation. I know that they traded a lot for Shane Baz, but they still need pitching help outside of Shane Baz, and it doesn't seem like they're going to go spend more significant resources to go out and get it. Like, couldn't they use Trey Gibson more than? I mean, like, it depends on how they feel about Logan Evans compared to Trey Gibson. But like, might they just like Gibson more than Logan Evans? Is that enough to take on Raley and Morales? What I should say is Raley and Morales enough to like overcome that if they like Gibson more than Evans? And also, like, they're trading Jeremiah Jackson, who's coming off of a really good debut season, like you said. So I don't see how this works for the Orioles. But again, it's like, who knows if Raley's going to bounce. This is just, I feel confident that Raley's going to bounce back. But like, do other teams feel that way? I
mean, you just kind of look at the Orioles lineup though, and it's like, okay, Pete Alonso's going to play first base. Left field is Taylor Ward. Right field is Dylan Beavers, who they like a lot. Colton Cowser's playing center. And is it Basayo? Is that how we pronouncing this? The young 21-year-old backup catcher / DH is ready to go, and they really like him, and he can hit, or at the least they think he can hit. So it's like, okay, how does Raley crack the lineup?
Yeah,
I don't know. So it's kind of a weird. They definitely need a left-handed bat, but they have a couple switchies in there as well that they can use. Like, is Raley better than Leody Taveras? Yes. Okay, fine.
I'm not sure if the lefty bat that they need, though, if they need one, is that like should be an outfielder. Like it seems like it needs to be a guy that can play some infield for them. Because again, like they have Cowser, they have Beavers.
So yeah,
Basayo is going to get all the DH reps, or at least that's the plan. So
yeah, the Jeremiah Jackson thing is fun. Like he is a bench player probably who can play third. Also played a lot of right field last year, so he kind of is the Dylan Moore replacement. That's kind of the thought process here. I would assume he's got a ton of data the Mariners will like, including high exit velos. And hard hit rates, and he doesn't strike out. He also doesn't walk at all, and he chases a lot. He's a swinger. Like he's up there swinging. He's not looking to take walks. He's trying to put the ball in play, do some damage, which in more of a bench role is fine. He's also above average runner, but not anything plus. Like these are two really interesting pieces. I just don't know that, like, what is the incentive for the Orioles to do this trade? Like what is getting the Orioles to the table to be like, actually, yes, like we'll trade some roster depth, some org depth who might actually help us at the big league level this year for a guy we can't really see getting at bats, and Logan Evans, who isn't better, at least I don't think, than Gibson. And Morales is just kind of a throw-in. So maybe there's like a bullpen arm that you could give them, but then you have to go out and replace a bullpen arm. So I like Gibson and Jeremiah Jackson. Those are two guys we hadn't talked about. I didn't really, never thought about them. So bringing them up is going to help your score here, Isaac. But I just don't see the fit, from the Orioles' perspective. Why would you give up these two pieces that are kind of trending up for Luke Raley? Just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Agreed. Yeah. So I'm going to give you 45. Again, the uniqueness, the creativity behind it, bringing up Gibson and Jackson, that brings the score up a bit. But I just don't get how this works for the Orioles. By the way, I would do this deal if I were the Mariners.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If the Mariners had like a little bit deeper bullpen, maybe you could give them some help on the bullpen. That's kind of where they need it right now. But it's like you can't trade Bizzardo right now. You can't trade Gabe Spire right now. And even if you could, you'd probably get more than those guys based on what bullpen arms are going for in the trade market. So it's just, as we've said a lot, because we talked about Baltimore a lot as a trade partner with Seattle, they really don't line up all that well.
No.
Despite what people try to make, true. It's not really there.
Yeah. Well, especially with like what the Orioles are trying to accomplish this offseason, what they've done so far with like Alonso and Ward and those guys, like, they're just kind of, both teams are kind of headed in the same direction. And because of that, it's hard to line up on a trade.
Yeah. It's a fun trade. I like the players that you brought up. Definitely guys I'll keep an eye on as the year plays out, but I don't see a fit between Baltimore and Seattle. I would really like it if they could make this trade, though. That'd be awesome.
All right, last trade of the day comes from Campbell. Ezequiel Tovar to Seattle for Logan Evans, Ty Peete, and Korbyn Dickerson.
Yeah, we had a couple people ask about Tovar this week.
Was there an article or something that said that? Maybe
I don't know. That's what available? I thought that was kind of weird.
Usually that's what happens when we get a bunch of, trades about the same guy. I guess it was only two, right? So
yeah. I mean,
maybe just coincidence. But
maybe. But yeah, so
Tovar,
we got a couple.
He's fantastic defender, but he doesn't get on base. So like, how Mariner-y is he? And
he's never posted a 300 on base.
And like, are they going to not give Cole Young or Ben Williamson playing time for the sake of Ezequiel Tovar and also spend resources to go get him? Probably not. Plus, he's also making money right now.
Yeah. It's like a $9 million AAV. I'm not sure how that breaks down yearly off the top of my head, but yeah, he was injured this year. He only posted a 78 WRC plus. Again, he's a plus defender at shortstop. So like, it's not like he doesn't have value. Of course he does. But again, he's already making.
This year he's making 5. Next year he's making 8. The year after that he's making 11. This goes all the way up to him making 16, and then there's a $23 million club option in 2031, which, like, whatever, I'm not worried about that. But like $16 million in 2030 guaranteed. Yeah, the Mariners aren't signing up for that. The deal is dead right there. We don't even have to talk about anything else with the deal. Like, the contract alone for the player that Tovar is, that kills it immediately for the Mariners.
Probably. Yeah, Tovar, again, he's the guy who makes highlight reel defensive plays. He's got pop. He'll hit home runs. He was actually better in his breakout year. He was better away from Coors Field than he was at Coors Field. But the fact that at Coors Field he had like an 85 WRC plus, that's, not great. Now, again, obviously you play at Coors Field. If you're not putting up godly numbers, your WRC plus is going to be lower. But I look at this, he's 24, like, that's great. So the contract, I don't know if it's prohibitive quite yet, just in general. I don't think that would be for a 24-year-old. But we're talking about a guy who, in 2023 was a 1.7 win player in 153 games. In about 2/3 of that time, in 2025, he was a 0.8 win player. So really, it's 1 year where he was a 3.5 win player, 3.7 wins. He had 26 homers, but he had a 28% strikeout rate, 28.8 to be exact, and a 3.3% walk rate. So this is a guy with those numbers. If he is not hitting 300, he's not putting up league average on base. And he's not going to hit 300. There's no way. He strikes out way too much to hit 300. He obviously has a chase problem as well. So, like, I look at Tovar and I say, like, hey, that is a fun player, and that is a guy who probably every once in a while will break out and have these 4-win, like, all-star caliber seasons based mostly on defense. But when that defense starts to fade, he's going to not be as great of a player. But again, he's only 24. So I thought this was an interesting name to bring up. And I think I get why. He's a young, controllable player who's got a 4-win season under his belt. But he really is shortstop defense, and then you're hoping for a little bit of pop, and that's kind of the value there. If you don't get the pop, you're just not getting a very good player. It's not a coincidence. The 2 years that his slugging percentage was 400 or in the low 400s, he was okay, but not really an everyday player. The 1 year he slugged 469, he was a 3.5 win player. So a lot, he doesn't have tremendous bat speed either. Again, he chases a lot. He swings and misses a lot. He doesn't walk.
Yeah.
He's a fine player.
Yeah. It's just, Colorado. Yeah. Just the Mariners are going to look at the 291 career on base percentage and the contract, and they're going to go, nope.
Tell you what, he goes out this winter, he puts up a 330, 340 on base. We can have a different conversation next winter. He'll be more expensive, but we'll have a different conversation next winter. I do wonder, maybe Tovar was brought up because there's a new regime in Colorado. They didn't give him that contract. It was the previous one, so maybe that's why. But overall, it's like, let me see you be a good offensive player 1 year before I invest in you, because that's what I need right now more than anything. I need a bat, and Tovar is not a bat right now.
Yeah, so I'm feeling 35, 40 on this one.
I don't know. If you assume that the Mariners were, like, interested in Tovar and that Colorado was willing to trade him, which I don't know if either of those things are true. But if you did, would you give this package up for him? Peete, Korbyn, Dickerson, Logan Evans?
I mean,
probably.
Yeah.
Because there's just enough upside there.
Yeah.
But even then, I'd be like, I don't know. Like, yeah. Plus, what is he going to play third base? You're going to move JP to sec? Like, you're not moving JP off a shortstop this year.
Yeah. Even then, I just can't foresee the Mariners, given what their plan is and how apparently they won't move off of this idea of giving Cole Young and Ben Williamson some runway even for better players than Ezequiel Tovar. So why would they do it for Ezequiel Tovar? Yeah.
So he just doesn't feel like a Mariners type of guy. So
yeah,
I'll give you a 40, I guess.
All right, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.